Hello, welcome back to Dance. I'm your host, Daniel Hernandez, and today we're talking about psychological development theories. And one theory that I find was one of my favorite theories when reading about this and learning about this in my psychology class was the Piaget theory. Now, this theory is an old one, and it suggests that cognitive development holds cognitive abilities and develops through specific stages, which exemplifies the Discounty approach to development. So yeah, I know it's a hard definition, but there it is. He suggests that through our development, our abilities develop through specific stages. So the first stage I'm gonna talk about is when you're just a baby through 2 years old. Through then you can't really do much. You can't even feel your fingers. You can't. I bet you can't even remember when you look like a baby, or I bet you can't remember anything right then. So we're just developing. Just the eyes, the ears, everything. I mean, that's before you're born. So I'm off topic. But through this stage, the sensory motor stage, they achieve a knowledge through motion and manipulation objects. For baby just reaching out and seeing what it can grab, it's just seeing what the world is, It's seeing what they're close to. Also in this stage, our sensitive and motives are influenced by anxiety, because when you're a kid, you don't know what is up, so you're scared all the time. So yeah, through that stage, it's really hard when you're a kid. Also, cognitive development is short in this one, but is affected greatly when to kids 0 to 2. And through learning entities, they are able to attach them to people. So say like a ride toy, I'm gonna attach that to me having fun, or I'm gonna attach that to my friend because it's always with me. I'm always riding that toy, or difference between the ride toy and say my favorite, my dog, Duke. I'm gonna attach Duke with the dog because that's what everybody calls him. When I touch him, if I'm a kid, if I'm a baby and I touch him and my parents yell Duke, I'm gonna assume his name is Duke. I'm gonna put that name towards the dog. Then so that's the first development stage that Piaget mentioned. Now the second is perorational stage, perorational stage of development, and this is when they're 2 through 6 years old, and they use words and images to represent things, but lack logical reasoning, meaning they understand what the word and imaging, but they just don't understand it. They know what a freaking car is and what a plane is or a train, but they don't understand like how it moves. What is inside the car? How does it make it move? They understand. They just don't have common sense. Basically, they know what it is and what they do, but they don't know like how it works and everything. And they're more of a dreamer, I say. They're aware of the real world, but they can't really do anything because they don't understand it. So they're in like a dream because they're just looking at stuff and just being amazed by it. And now the third stage onto that is when they're 7 through 11 years old, and that's the concrete operational stage of development. And with this stage, they're in more depth with their logic, With having a better understanding, kids tend to care about their opinion more too through this stage. If a kid finally cares about, being loud. A kid finally cares about being loud and aggressive to other kids because because they finally noticed the other kids were looking at them with a stink look and tell them get out of here and tell them they don't want them to play with them. Now kids in this stage are getting more the idea that wow, I really do need care because I'm understanding why people are saying this and why they're not being my friend or if the kid's being annoying. And the last stage that I'll be talking about will be the formal operational stage. Now, this stage increases logic and using understanding with your head. For instance, with this, for sports in general, kids have more the sports. Since the kids are more formal, operational in development, the sports that they take on through 12 through upper are the actual sports instead of cut off rules that little kids will have because they're not development. So, because sports are telling them that they are in depth with logic and they can understand things. They can understand mostly everything. And the last stage I'm talking about, oh, I already did last. My fault, guys. I already did last stage. So this stage, now I just want to talk about that the theory is not a quantitative process, meaning kids don't add more to their existing knowledge that they had before. Paget suggests that it's a change in how kids think altogether. Paget also just suggested that there are several factors of having children and learning and of how children grow and learn. And the foundation of it, of how children learn and grow, is schemes. Schemes categorize the knowledge that kids get, and it helps us interpret it and understand the world, and understand the world through that. And the other thing that I get suggested that we use is the simulation. And now this is when, say, a kid is normally next to small dogs, and the small dogs they politely bark at him. Well, not politely, I don't know how you do that. They cutely bark at him, they pair around at him. So when they think of a small dog, they think, oh, a playful, safe dog that I can play with. So now they assume that all small dogs and all big dogs are opposite of that. But then they meet a big dog and see that the big dog is the same as the small one. So now they have the assimilation, new information to make their schema a better schema about things. Like the schema about, all dogs can be nice and freaking lick my hand whenever I want to. And the accommodation that Pagnett also just suggested that we learn in this is the ability to change existing schemes in light of a new info. So as I said, since the kid has learned that the big dog is not just a rabies infused dog that jumps at you. It can be a small dog that can be as friendly as a small dog or as playful as a small dog. So through that accommodation, now our scheme could be into a better light with no info. And the copulation, that another word that is presented, is the limbo between assimilation and accommodation. It explains how a child can move from one stage of thought to another. But there are issues with this theory. Of all theories, there are going to be issues. How do you even and counter the effects of genetic and environmental and development. Those two are very big into development, so they play a big part of the role. And how big part of the role they play in packet stages of cognitive development. You know, and finally, I just want to say that is all we have today for our podcast. Thank you so much for joining in and giving us a view. Make sure you hit that follow button and hit that likes button. Thank you. Bye bye. See you next week.